Welcome to Pop-O-Holics, the show about hot takes other than hot tasty pancakes. I'm your host, Christian, and I'm joined by, unfortunately, only one of my best friends.
Brian Dupree, yes. Still missing Chris this week. He will be back next week, so we're excited for that.
We just appreciate that Chris only takes 2 weeks off for his cat's birthday. Brian, how the hell are you doing?
I'm doing great. Definitely excited. Looking forward to talking about a movie I saw for the first time, The Faculty, later on. I actually just last night got to see a screening of The Thing at the local Tampa theater with a crowd. Had never watched that movie on the big screen, and we'll talk about it later. But watching these sorts of movies, the sorts of laughs and shocks that you get are meant to be shared, and it's got me really hyped about what we're going to be covering, because I think it's very much that same sort of experience.
Did Kurt Russell come out in front of before the movie and go, ladies and gentlemen, here's the thing, and then it just started playing the movie?
He didn't, but the J&B bottle, which is heavily featured in the movie, did come out and say a few words, so that was nice.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, Brian, thanks for joining us on another episode of Pop-O-Holics. This is the Pop Squad. It is the number one rated podcast in America, where people come out to find all
uncontested.
Things uncontested. But we're like Netflix; we will not release our numbers, but I can tell you it's the number one show in America named Pop-O-Holics. And I'm your host, Christian, again, and we break down the news. We talk about what we've been consuming in the world of pop culture, which is going to be me and Brian sharing a retrospective, a review of a very prescient film. I think one of the most defiant horror movies, a timeless classic, the Robert Rodriguez vehicle, The Faculty, starring...
Might be slightly overselling, but I had a great time.
I believe it's the number one movie in America right now. Listen,
Hands down. Highest grossing internationally.
Listen, we have our own private pollsters. We base our opinions and facts off that. Well, Brian, before we get into the news, I gotta say, man, I'm real tired. I built. I don't know if you saw my post on the socials, but I did. It was impressive. I repaired a fence with my father over the last couple days, and I gotta say, I'm not cut out for this. I don't know how frontiersmen survived, but I'm not well. I'm hurting.
I'm sorry, man. You look great for what it's worth. Doesn't show at all.
I hope that the best part about the last couple of days was that I got to watch The Faculty and realized that was our pick. So viewers and listeners, be very excited. That's right. If you're listening to us, we do have a YouTube channel. You can subscribe to that following our link tree. And if you're watching us, we have an audio feed for when you need the Pop-O-Holics on the go. If you're commuting or whatnot, what have yous. Any other housekeeping? Subscribe to this. Smash it. Smash the like, comment. Tell us what your favorite, your number one episode of Pop-O-Holics is in the comments. We'd love to.
If you're recommending our show on YouTube, tell people to put dashes when they search, because might be some issues happening there with the search functions for us.
Not at all. It hadn't stopped us from becoming the number one podcast
on YouTube.
On YouTube, we are the most downloaded. We're right above Mr. Beast. Things are going great over here. Let's start the way we always do with Brian's Wibbly Wobbly Wacky News Corner.
Start on wacky, start on wacky. Welcome back, everyone. So, relatively breaking news as of recording. This was just announced that A new Naked Gun movie is supposedly got the green light, or is very close to getting the green light at Paramount, and Liam Neeson is in talks to star in the Naked Gun reboot. We also have The Lonely Island's Akiva Schaffer directing, and he is writing this with Dan Greger and Doug Mand, the team who worked on the recent Chippendale Rescue Rangers, which I heard really great things about and haven't seen yet myself, but it's on my list to see before the end of the year. Christian, did you watch Rescue Rangers? I remember Chris really liking this one.
I did. I watched the Rescue Rangers the week that it came out, and I loved it. You know, I've loved everything that this team of creators has done. I'm going to mess up his name, but Akiva Schaffer, just double checking, is awesome. He directed one of my favorite comedies, Hot Rod. And Brian, me and you, we have a special affinity for the Naked Gun series. We used to watch them as kids, and we watched Airplane, a movie we reviewed with guest Roger Hughes, which was
Leslie
a lot
Nielsen
of
played
Leslie
the
Nielsen.
official role. It's sounding like this is probably going to be Liam Neeson's going to be playing his son, most likely, not reprising the character himself, at least at this point.
I think it's a perfect casting too, because Liam Neeson has been in all these silly, like straight to video, you know, just the noun, the job title. It's like the contractor.
He has a couple of cameos where he pops up and plays against type, and it's always amazing.
It's always great.
Yeah. I'm really excited. I think it's great.
I really hope it comes together. This seems like very early news. So
I think it sounds like if Neeson comes on, it's probably going to get greenlit. Once they have that name with this team attached.
Do you think they accidentally sent him the request to be in the movie, and they were trying to get Leslie Nielsen, and they just accidentally missed, like, it auto-corrected in the email?
They were going to send an email, but they slipped on a banana peel, and it just set off a whole crazy series of events. We can't get into it all right now, but it was wild, let me tell you.
But
Fairly
as for
certain... No, I'm not
Naked
going to
Gun
make that
series-
joke. Sorry. Too far. Brian.
Now I need to hear it. Later.
Off mic, for sure.
In summation, I think it's great because I always love, you know me, and we talked about this on the Airplane review. I love like some movies when they commit to it, cramming in as many jokes on screen as possible. And Naked Gun that's kind of the challenge of making a Naked Gun reboot is to do the mile-a-minute jokes. And I believe this team would be up to it. It's very exciting.
Yeah. So Liam Neeson and Akiva Schaffer potentially teaming up for a Naked Gun reboot. So super excited for that. All right. Speaking of reboots, David Gordon Green. He is just making it his shtick now to take iconic horror movies and reboot them into a franchise. So The Exorcist is the latest. Ellen Burstyn is signed on to star in this, reprising her role. She played the mother in the original movie, and she'll be playing the same character here. Universal spent apparently $400 million on this trilogy for Blumhouse to produce it. I really liked. I haven't seen the third one yet. Halloween Ends is out now as of this being released. Definitely excited to see that. I really enjoyed the first two of his recent Halloween trilogy. I think he was able to bring something different and new to the franchise, even though I had never really dove into the sequels proper. The Exorcist is an absolute iconic classic. I think I probably prefer The Exorcist to Halloween personally, even though I think they're both great. But it's going to be interesting to see how this is brought into a modern context, obviously within the same story. These are the sorts of things, the true crisis of faith, the potential acknowledgement of supernatural things existing. This is the kind of stuff that really strikes home in terms of horror for me, and The Exorcist is obviously one of the supreme examples. How do you feel about him coming and diving back into another historic IP?
I think there's been one good exorcism movie, maybe two that I'm aware of that are like critically acclaimed that I also liked.
Is The Exorcist one of them?
The Exorcist is definitely one of them. I'm talking about since The Exorcist. There was that one you told me to watch. That one was real creepy, but it was like a documentary, or it was a movie. I don't remember.
Oh, that was by Friedkin as well. The Devil and Father Amor.
Yeah. Okay, so
It gets batshit in the last third, but there's good stuff in there.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's always hard to do in a modern context. These Exorcist movies. So on its face value, I'm not like as jazzed as probably you are because of the genre. I do like The Exorcist. I do think it's a horror classic, and I do think it's a fantastic movie and a piece of cinema history. What a bold statement, Christian. The Exorcist is important and good. But hearing about these reboots, I don't know. I didn't love the Halloween reboots, even though I've only seen one of them. So I got to check out the other two. But I thought they were fine. And my expectations are that I would watch this and go like, oh, that wasn't as bad. Like, when you see one of the Disney live action movies and it's not a garbage fire and you're like, the music was pretty good and the cinematography was decent. That's kind of how I feel like I'll have a reaction. But hey, sky's the limit. This very interesting subject matter to me. That's why I don't try to get my hopes up too much because these kind of movies tend to disappoint. But we'll see. It seems like they got Blumhouse. It's they're gonna make a shit ton of money.
Yeah, Blumhouse. They're pretty consistent with their stuff. I kind of just appreciate him bringing back these older actors who maybe aren't getting the sort of roles they used to. I haven't seen Ellen Burstyn in a lot recently. I think she's still been acting, but I think it's just kind of cool bringing these characters back. And, obviously Halloween dealt with its own themes, and I'm sure this one will similarly explore the perspective from a entirely different angle than a mother. But yeah, so that's The Exorcist. David Gordon Green is rebooting it with Ellen Burstyn set to reprise her role in the original movie. Before
you move on, how old is Ellen Burstyn? I feel like she's got to be up there. So I'm not sure what their plans are for the trilogy and filming it, but she's you gotta think about these things. She has to be like in her 70s.
She's 89 years old.
Oh, fuck. Make sure you cram most of her story in the first one there, Chief. Listen, my grandma lived to like 96, but that's bonus. I mean, we could both agree that's you're in bonus time. You're in bonus time at that part. I wish her the best.
Yes, definitely. So, moving on. A trailer was just like everyone else. I'm still relishing the Halloween season. We haven't even gotten to Halloween proper yet. We're in the middle of October, but the Christmas inklings cannot stop, and we've got a teaser trailer from starring Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell. We have a spin on A Christmas Carol called Spirited. This is directed by Shawn Anders and co-written by, Anders, I apologize, and co-written by John Morris. It's coming to theaters November 11th, and then it'll be on Apple TV Plus a week later on November 18th. I feel like you hear the concept behind this. Ryan Reynolds is playing the man who is getting the morals taught to him, and Will Ferrell is playing at least one of the ghosts of his past, present, or future, if not all three. And I'm definitely going to watch this movie with these two guys. The concept, this is going to be an easy one to sell my family in November at family movie night. How do you feel about this? A Christmas Carol, did you watch any of the versions? I know the Muppet version is one of the classic takes.
I won't speak to this film in particular for reasons, but what I can say is that it is a musical. We've been talking about the revival of the musicals lately, so that's interesting. But I'm a sucker for Christmas Carol movies. I love like all the Christmas Carol movies that have ever come out. I watch all of them. The ones that star ducks, the ones that star bears,
the ones that star Bill Murray. That
star humans. I mean, how many this has got to be. You know how Hugh Jackman has like the title for like playing the same character in a reoccurring series like the most times. I'm not sure if he still holds it, but
Oh, I think so. Especially with the recent news, he's going to for sure now, right?
Yeah. Christmas Carol has to be the most adapted movie, story of all time. I want to see where those charts are, but it's very common. But it's just like Gorgeous and the Monster, it is a tale as old as time.
Very nice. Yes, it definitely is.
Pretty lady in the scary face, as it were.
That's the iconic title that we know and love.
Thoughty in the gaudy. Thoughty
in the body. I don't know. That's spirited. The teaser's out now. I'll definitely bring it up
if you
again
didn't catch
when it's
on,
coming out.
listeners, if you did not get the basis of that joke, I just wasted like 3 minutes of your life. But think about it for 5 seconds. You'll get there. Catch up.
Moving on to some stuff that's coming out this week. Starting with TV, we have The Peripheral that'll be coming to Prime Video this Friday. So this is set in the future when technology has subtly altered society and a woman discovers a secret connection to an alternate reality as well as a dark future of her own. So this is created by Scott Smith and based on the book by William Gibson, the sci-fi guru who has predicted many things and has written many acclaimed books that I have yet to read, but lifetime goals to get into Gibson. The Westworld creators, Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy, are executive producing this, and it stars Chloe Grace Moretz, Gary Carr, Jack Rayner, and many more. This looks like really solid sci-fi. Chloe Grace Moretz leading this, always solid in the stuff that I've seen her in. In a smaller movie that I enjoyed, although it was a bit silly, that I'm going to blank on, that came out last year. Really solid, like a war, like World War I movie that was also kind of like a fantasy-ish horror movie. Look it up. It's Shadow in the Cloud, I think is what it's called. She's great in it. But yeah, this series looks really solid. Coming from William Gibson, obviously the source material is super strong. Have you heard of William Gibson before, Christian? Are you familiar with any of his work or
Gibbs?
The Peripheral?
Billy Gibbs. Yeah, I mean, let's just do a Google search so that I can speak with some authority on it.
Neuromancer, I think is one.
Neuromancer,
of the
which
big
I
ones.
own, which I haven't read. I believe you bought that for me. I still need to read it. I'm sorry. He's not Philip K. Dick, but he did Neuromancer is the most famous one. He did win the Philip K. Dick award. Burning Chrome is another one. Is this good podcasting?
That's the Peripheral.
Difference Engine. Hold on, I'm not done. Spook Country, Agency, The Peripheral. We're talking about that one.
Hey, look at that. That's the one.
Yeah,
you got there.
Cyberculture. I watched the trailer for this though, so I did that much of my job here.
Interesting enough,
dude. It looks like it's very like Matrixy, right?
I was gonna say it's very meta. Huh?
It's very
levels
meta
to that one, folks. Levels.
Yeah. What we want to do here at
Not many levels.
Periphery is connect people in a way that they're not expecting. Blah, blah, blah. Fuck that guy. Anyway, yeah.
I just go my meats back here in meta. Meta meats.
Meta meats. Yeah, it looks fun though. I mean, it looks intense. Chloe, she's got 3 names of some sort. She's good. I like her. So it seems like a good vehicle for it. No, this is like, I'm very intrigued by it, in all sincerity.
Yeah, so that's The Peripheral, be on Prime Video this Friday. We also have coming to Netflix this Friday, From Scratch. So this is based on Tembi Locke's memoir and is created by Attica Locke and Tembi Locke. Attica Locke serves as the showrunner here, which stars Zoe Saldana and is 8 episodes. This looks really solid. Coming to Netflix, obviously based on a true story, so interesting to see. I wasn't familiar with this memoir prior, but the story definitely seems relatively interesting if you're in for it. Kind of low stakes to some degree. Well, a woman abroad falls in love. There is some health issues that happen, and the family has to deal with it. So low stakes, that may not be the right way to put it, but this series seems like a very sweet and probably emotionally provocative look at this woman's life. So yeah, that's From Scratch.
She meets an Italian guy. If you watch the trailer, she meets from scratch to itch.
She does.
She meets an Italian guy, and I'm an Italian American, so I think I can make this joke. But she runs. The trailer starts, and the meet cute is like she runs into him, and he like grabs her arm and like goes down it. And I was like, that's a pickpocket. I thought he was pickpocket.
Yikes. Was he?
No, no, I don't. Maybe he did, but he also falls in love with her. Maybe it's revealed that he's like, "Oh, I stole your watch." Whoopsies. No, he doesn't do that. But he's like, she takes him back to America. He's like, I love to cook. It's my favorite. And she takes him back to like Los Angeles. He's like, I can't cook for these people. They're Americans. They're dumb. Anyway, and I think he like invents carabas or something. But it looks, it looks like something it looks like something that my fiance would be interested in. I hope she doesn't see this trailer, else I'm gonna have to watch it.
Well, it's gonna pop up on Netflix, so let us know once you do.
It's just gonna play
how that is.
Just open Netflix. It starts playing.
So that's from scratch. That'll be on Netflix this Friday. Moving into some movies that are coming out this week. Coming straight to Shudder is VHS 99. So this will be out on Thursday and is the 5th installment of the VHS series, which are a found footage horror anthology film, which is a horror anthology film series. So each of them has, I think, 5 or 6 short films. Some of them have stories that are kind of interweaved between them. This one is not going to do that, but it's going to have some interludes, like animated or stop motion interludes that are happening between the shorts here. So we have segments here from Johannes Roberts, which is probably, in terms of directing, the biggest name here. Most recently did Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, a movie that was not super well received, but I quite enjoyed, as well as The Strangers Prey at Night. We also have one from Vanessa and Joseph Winter, one from Maggie Levin, one from Tyler McIntyre, and another from Flying Lotus, which is kind of the main draw for me here. I haven't seen his first movie, and I think he's working on a second feature at the moment if it hasn't come out already. Obviously, established musician and breaking into film as well. So these movies, I've seen all 4 of them, and even if all of them don't hit, there's always worthwhile stuff within these, and seeing directors just kind of go wild in this short format, I think is a lot of fun. I don't think you've seen any of these VHS movies. Have you, Christian? You have.
I have. I've seen the first collection. And
okay.
I think horror works really. Honestly, it was too spooky. It was too spooky for me.
Okay,
like it.
Sure.
But they're really well made, and I think horror works really well in these small vignette formats. So I think, obviously, they're doing really well. They have an audience on Shudder. It's kind of its whole thing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Scary shit. So
that's what it's for. So yeah, VHS 99.
It tracks. It tracks. Like a VHS tape. That's like a niche tech of it tracks. There's tracking involved. What is tracking? I don't know, but I know it has something to do with VHS and the magnetic playhead. But all right, we're done. Move on.
We're getting off the tracks there. Moving on to Black Adam coming to theaters this Friday. I don't know if you've heard.
Do you have superhero fatigue? You know his genre is ready to die when Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson steps in and is playing a part in a major release.
The man is so bored in the gym, he just has to shoot Black Adam promos just constantly. He doesn't want to work out anymore. He's done with it. But yeah, so we've talked about this before.
He doesn't need to anymore. He's like, they can do computers. They can make me computer big. You can't get computer big.
You can't even tell how jacked I am. It's not doing him justice here in the suit. This is a spinoff from 2019's Shazam and is the 11th film in the DC Extended Universe. It's directed by Jaume Collet-Serra and written by Adam Stikeel, Rory Keynes, and Saurabh Nashirvani, and stars Dwayne Johnson as the titular Black Adam.
Do all these Warner Brothers films? They're like, how many writers?
Multiple writers.
How many writers can we get? How many cooks can we get in this kitchen?
They clearly it's part of the secret sauce, for better and for worse, at DC.
The sauce is very secret. It's just confused. It's sauce that's made from scratch.
Definitely not, but it is Carabas. The plot of this movie, I'm not going to read the whole thing on Wikipedia. I think it spoils things that the trailers don't necessarily make explicit, but after 5,000 years of imprisonment, Black Adam, an anti-hero, is back on Earth, getting into trouble, and maybe has to learn that there are more important things than just being kind of a dick. And hopefully he learns that lesson and helps the good guys ultimately. But yeah, we already have talk of potential crossovers. Of course, interviewers are asking about this. And, you know, I with DC, very much taking this one movie at a time in terms of their long-term plans, because as we've seen in the past, they can change very quickly. Are you going to see Black Adam?
Nope. No, I'm not.
All right, yeah.
No,
I kind of expected that. Yeah.
No, honestly, time, it would be very low on my list if I did have time to see a lot of movies right now. So therefore, there's no, even if it got like pretty good reviews, it would be very hard. It would be very hard for me to convince myself that it would be worth seeing outside of a, you know, streaming or VOD at some point. But I think when people ask any of the creators behind any of these DC movies, like, what do you see as far as crossover and the potential? They're like, well, you know, we're just really, I mean, if it makes money, I'm sure things will happen if it makes money.
Nearly what he said. He's like, we're going to see. It's like, we'd be really excited to do that. We're always thinking about that. But we're going to see what the people want. And we're going to go from there. It's like,
if this
smart
bombs, you'll never hear about it ever again.
Yeah.
It won't even be canned. Well, that is a very large glass of water, Brian. Go ahead and put that glass back up for the viewers. For the viewers,
I'm not going to do that.
In comparison to your head, that is. I mean, is that I think, Brian, I think you accidentally grabbed a vase. I think that's meant to hold a plant, like a very large bouquet of flowers, not drink water out of.
Coach is thirsty.
Oh no, they got him.
You just set it up there.
They got him.
So yeah, that is Black Adam. It'll be in theaters this Friday. We also have coming to theaters a movie that has already doubled its budget in Europe. Ticket to Paradise, the newest movie starring Julia Roberts and George Clooney. A divorced couple teams up and travels to Bali to stop their daughter from making the same mistake they think they made 25 years ago. The daughter here is played by Caitlin Dever. This is directed by Ole Parker and written by Parker and Daniel Pipsky. If you heard what I just said and know these people, you know exactly what sort of this movie this is. And if you like this sort of movie, it's going to be great. It's got 70%, like right on that fresh Rotten Tomatoes right now. And I feel like that's what you should go on expecting. Solid, romantic tension, good comedy, beautiful people, and probably a heartwarming story of finding love again or remembering the good times. You know, we all need that at some point, don't we? And getting these two back together, just seeing them doing press tours and the tension between them there, the chemistry is remarkable. You know, this movie is going to be super solid. Ticket to Paradise. Date movie? This one's got to be on the menu.
Not for me. But for every like couple that's north of 40, 100%, yeah, I think
north of 40. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Taking
this
yourself
film
out of
should have
demo.
been called North to Tickets if you're north of 40. Yeah, they got great.
Paradise is a retirement home, actually.
It feels like this is like the slow heat death of old Hollywood. It's like movies like this, you know. This feels like these won't be around forever, so cherish them. Because I was watching the trailer, and I don't know if this song was playing, but my brain started playing the "This will be." I don't think that's in the trailer.
No,
but
I don't think so either.
But you watch the trailer, put that song on it. It works. It works.
It fits. But I mean, with how well this movie did, obviously, this is a star vehicle, and this movie is doing well, I'm sure, in decent part because of these two together. But the fact this made $60 million overseas already, this movie is going to easily make, you know, over $100 million worldwide once it releases here. And it's like, on a $36 million budget, hopefully this does show that these sorts of movies can still make money.
Star power.
Yeah, star power. There's not many stars left that can do this, but they seem to be some of them. So yeah, that's Ticket to Paradise in theaters this Friday. Lastly, from a movie perspective, we have Matriarch coming to Hulu this Friday. Not letting the spooky season end quite yet. We have a woman afflicted with a mysterious disease after surviving an overdose who returns to her childhood home to confront her personal demons and finds things maybe haven't changed as much as she would have expected / wanted to / the direction of time would imply. And things get weird. This stars Jemima Rooper and Kate Dickey and is written and directed by Ben Steiner. And this looks super creepy. Nice, like 90-minute horror movie on Hulu. I'm looking for some, I'm trying to watch 31 new horror movies this month and I'm falling behind already. So a nice, tight 80, 90-minute movie, very much what I'm looking for these days. And this trailer looked great. I'm very interested in this one. So that's
looks spooky. Looks real spooky.
It does.
And it's got that lady from The Witch, who you got to imagine you're being typecast.
Kate Dickey, who plays the mother in The Witch. Yeah.
You know, Kate Dickey, God bless her, she's working. But you know, when you're an actor and people just keep saying like, yeah, I mean, you're good looking enough to be an actor, but you're also creepy. So we're gonna star you. We're gonna ask you to be in this horror movie about a mother who like eats her children or whatever the fuck the plot of this movie is. But it looks spooky, and I do like Kate Dickey.
So that's Matriarch. That'll be on Hulu this Friday.
Catch it!
All right. Catch it. Lastly, we're talking about a video game. Something we've talked about before, but that I'm excited to bring up because we never get to talk about video games. I'm not the video game guy. This is a big release. They don't happen all that often, but Gotham Knights this Friday is coming out for PC, PS5, and the latest Xbox Series X. This is developed by WB Games Montreal and published by Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment, and follows the DC Comics characters, mainly Nightwing, Batgirl, Robin, and Red Hood, as they attempt to restore justice to Gotham City during a period of decline in the immediate aftermath of Batman's death. The Court of Owls is going to be introduced here, which, from all accounts, is one of the really solid, most modern Batman runs that is really well done. I believe that's by Scott Snyder, if I'm not mistaken. But this is an action role-playing game. I don't know too much about the actual gameplay itself. Christian, are you looking forward to playing this one? Is this something that you're going to buy when on release date?
Well, Brian, I have thoughts about Gotham Knights. Thank you for asking. Okay, so you know that Avengers game that I'm really obsessed with?
Yes.
It's going to have problems like this. And I don't know actually if there is a solution. I think if a game figures out how to do that, it's going to be a big deal. But this game looks like it's exactly the same. And the problem with these games is that it's got a cool premise. Obviously, it's working with a bunch of really well-known characters from the Batman universe. And it's taking influence from some of like the best Batman runs and like lore that the universe has to offer, and you get really excited about it. But then the actual mechanics of how they have to make these games is that you have to be able to play with your friends. They want you to stick around for daily and weekly, quests and stuff. So it's really repeatable, and you just can't make that much story content for multiple people all the time. You have to make a bunch of concessions on game development. When you think of things like Gotham Knight and Arkham Asylum, you think of like, when you think fondly, like the mechanics are solid, yes, but really what defines those games is the narrative unfolding and the surprises. Like, what is it? Gotham Knights, the Joker just pops up randomly during your like free form exploration, and like.
So this one's Gotham Knights,
Gotham Knight. What was it called?
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's not Gotham Knight. I'm sounding an idiot. Chris right now is listening to our podcast, and he's like, Christian, you put the wrong banner in the video. And then he's also like, it's called the I forget what it is. White Knight. I don't know. I don't remember.
I'm gonna look them up.
There's Gotham City. There's Arkham City. Arkham City, I think, is the name of it. But then there was a sequel that I thought had the word Knight in it. It doesn't matter, Brian. The Rocksteady games that these are kind of based
Arkham
off
City.
Arkham City, but I could have sworn one of them had Knight in it. The one with the Batmobile. But
Arkham Knight.
Arkham Knight. That's I said Gotham
you're
Knight.
You're
Arkham
right.
Knight. Okay, I knew it had Knight in it. Wow, that was really showing
2015.
my credibility for video games. Anyway, when you think about why those games are great, it's, mechanics are fun, for sure. That's like a given, but it's really the memorable things or the story moments. And nobody's cracked how to have one of these repeatable, loot-driven multiplayer games that can make those memories happen. So what you end up having is great mechanics. Like Avengers has great mechanics that I'm addicted to, and every time they have DLC and a new character, I level a character up, and it's monotonous, but I get my Marvel video game fix, and so I think it'll give the DC video game fix, but no one has cracked the memorable moment part. You really can't do that. You have to change level design. You can't do really narrow spaces or sneaky sneaks. It's got to be big, broad levels with lots of people to beat up. And what are you going to do with a story with 4 playable characters and big places to beat people up? It's just very repetitive. And I'm thinking it'll be fun, and I might pick it up on. I think this is one that I'm going to wait for a sale on.
Oh, okay.
I'm excited to see the reviews. I hope that they're able to do something interesting. But man, people want to be Destiny, but they also want to do let's make that single player game, but also make it Destiny, and it just doesn't work. Or at least if it does, if there's a way to do it, no one has cracked it. And so unfortunately, I've seen some gameplay. Again, it looks like it's fun mechanics, and it'll be fun with friends. But between this and the Suicide Squad game that's coming out, that looks very similar as well. I would put my money on the Suicide Squad game because it just has more interesting characters. Even from a mechanic standpoint, all these characters are kind of play like Batman. They kind of all beat people up and throw shit.
Yeah, no, that's true. I
don't want to sound like a downer. I hope it's cool. I hope they've cracked it. If they can crack it, it'll be dope. But it's a challenge. But I'm excited. Regardless.
So that's Gotham Knights. That'll be out this Friday, and that wraps it up for the news.
That's Arkham City Knights in Gotham, live in Gotham. Roll it. We edit nothing out. All right, we're going to take a short break, but when we get back, we're going to be talking about the faculty. And we're back. This is a reminder, too, that you can subscribe to us on the YouTube or the audio feed. We'd love to hear from you as well. Email us at popholicscast@gmail.com. Write us your deepest, darkest secrets. We just want to hear all the dirty deeds. And if you've committed a crime but you don't want to tell anybody, you can write it anonymously at Pop-O-Holics.
I will say, if you don't want us to read it out on the show, please note that in the email, because
you need to note that
it's free game if you're sending it to us. That's kind of the gambit.
That's the gambit. Gambit.
That's not the right word. That's not the right word at all.
We're announcing the news that Marvel's releasing a Gambit movie tomorrow.
We can independently confirm from
sources on background that Gambit the movie in 3D will be flinging cards at you Vegas style. It's somewhere in theaters, in a theater somewhere. You have to find it though. It's like a scavenger hunt. All right, Sherry. This is going.
What are we doing here?
We're talking about a movie, Brian. We're talking about a movie that
Jon Stewart with a goatee? Get out of here.
The goatee. That's near and dear to my heart. A favorite movie from my childhood. 1998's The Faculty.
No more pencils, no more books, no more teachers' dirty looks.
The students at Harrington High have always suspected their teachers were from another planet.
Is this gonna be on the test?
This is the test.
This time, they're right. Now, these 6 students won't just question authority. They'll have to destroy it. Critics are calling it hip and scary. A thrilling ride from beginning to end. The Faculty.
Please report to the principal's office.
Try to cut that out. That is from the trailer for The Faculty. Let's pull up the information here. Directed by Raw Dog Rodriguez. Written by Kevin Williamson. Story by David Wechter and Bruce Kimmel. Cinematography by Enrique Chediak. With a score by Marco Beltrami, which includes lots of music from the 90s, which is pretty amazing. with a budget of $15 million. Brian, how much did this gross? I'll tell you. $63.2 million, which is what, Brian? I'll tell you. Certified good ROI. And it stars the future of America, Jordan Brewster.
Jordana. Jordana Brewster.
Jordana, Jordana Brewster, Clea, DuVall, Laura Harris, Josh Hartnett, Shawn Autopsy, Elijah Wood, Salma Hayek. It's got Usher. Robert Patrick, the T-9000 himself, is in this movie. Just a real... Jon Stewart, as well, as you had alluded to earlier. And Christopher McDonald, Shooter McGavin, making an appearance. Is he a cop? Is he a dad? Is he both? I don't know.
We got a winner.
I heard a story. Can I do a side tangent on Christopher McDonald?
Let's hear it.
Okay. So I bought a new house, right? And so when you buy a new house, you get lots of, it's public record when you buy a house, which is just the worst for like your privacy and getting bothered by people. And one of the first cockroaches to crawl out of the woodwork are the purifier water softener salespeople. And I got a gift card to listen to his sales pitch from this guy for like 2 hours. And I told him, it was like right before the hurricane. I was like, I don't have time for this. And he kept going, and I didn't buy a water softener, but I did get my gift card. Anyway, this guy's going on and on. And one of his side tangents, of which he had many, he's a very nice guy, but one of his side tangents was, he goes, you know the guy Shooter McGavin, and he didn't remember his name, but I was like, oh, I think it's Christopher McDonald. And he's like, I don't know, but Shooter McGavin went to a fundraising that I was bartending for. And he was with Martin Short and Steve Martin. And he was Chris McDonald was emceeing it, and apparently got blackout drunk and ran through their like kitchen area butt naked. And
my God, that is quite a story.
It's a secondhand story from a water softener salesman, so could be totally wrong, but my respect for him went through the roof. So it's very
I remember that party. I'll back that guy up. It was wild.
Anyway,
apologies to Christopher McDonald if this is just like libelous slander. We have no idea. Don't take our word for it.
Yeah, sue this water softener guy, because that was the best story he had in the 2-hour spiel.
It didn't even sell you. Bummer.
No, he did not. Well, it sold me. I mean, I know I probably need a water purifier of some sorts, but not from that guy. Not from someone who's gonna slander the great name of Christopher McDonald in my household.
You know who could use a new water softener? An underfunded high school. Am I right?
Yeah, they could. You add some salt to it, dry out all those alien species. Anyway, so we're talking The Faculty today. Brian, I'd recommend this. I forgot that I'd recommend this movie to you. That's how good my memory is.
I think Chris also forgot that you had recommended it, because I'm fairly certain it happened on the pod, but maybe it didn't. But I think you had talked about it at some point.
It most certainly did.
Okay.
I don't know, but I'm sure of it. You have a better memory than I. But you were like, want to review The Faculty? And I was like, yeah, I do, but I didn't remember. It was apropos of nothing for me. And I was like, this is odd, but yeah, of course, I love this movie. And I started, I think, probably going to the same tangent of like, oh, that movie's amazing.
Yes.
Got all these famous people in it, and it's, but when they were really young, and it's like real goofy. And so we were really stoked. It seemed like for the spooky season, this would be a cool thing to talk about. But this is your first time seeing it. So we're going to talk a non-spoiler section of overall thoughts. I'm revisiting this movie. This is Brian's first time. He's over here on the video feed. And then we'll go into spoilers and talk about some of our standout moments and some spoiler thoughts. So without further ado, Brian, I'm so stoked to hear what you think of The Faculty. All these years later, visiting it for the first time.
So, yeah, I was kind of surprised I didn't know about this movie prior to you having recommended it, because I started looking into it. Robert Rodriguez directed, Kevin Williamson having written. I recently, within the last year, kind of went for Scream 5 coming out. a friend of mine and I had went and started watching the Scream movies, some of which I hadn't seen. So we watched the first 3. Kevin Williamson only wrote the first 2 and the 4th, which is the only one I haven't seen at this point. Also rewatched I Know What You Did Last Summer. What's the other one? I think there may have been something else that I had seen by him, but Kevin Williamson is someone who all of these movies are kind of the same in a lot of ways, but different enough and fun enough. And obviously you have Wes Craven and Robert Rodriguez helming them here, which helps. But he's so good at just from the beginning giving us characters who are immediately identifiable kind of high school archetypes, eventually allowing them to expand beyond just the stereotypical presentation that we get immediately, that allows us to kind of like know, oh, this is the jock, this is the bitchy cheerleader, this is the goth girl, and so on and so forth. This is the character who you assume is like the lazy stoner who's failing, who actually ends up being one of the smartest people in the school somehow in some ways. And you always have these characters who really just work and they're fun to be around. So coming into this, had relatively high hopes, having watched a lot of his other stuff lately, and it hit that same sweet spot that all of his other movies have hit for me. I think it's got great comedy and great meta elements, characters talking about the movies that are inspired or that inspired this movie. Always down for that sort of stuff. Just very fun and can either mislead you or frame things in a certain way that makes you think that it's going to go one way and goes another. So keeps you on your toes a little bit in a plot that can get a little bit silly at times. But with that being said, I think the movie doesn't take itself too seriously. I could see someone watching this and thinking this is a dumb movie, and maybe that, as well as some of the dated CG stuff that's happening. There is some digital stuff that's happening here, but it's interspersed with such awesome practical effects that never took me out of the movie entirely. And I think the concepts are working well enough, and what they build to is just kind of astonishing, timeless effects that we'll get to in spoilers that really just make this work. And even though the movie at a certain point starts ramping up there, I will say, I mentioned it in the front half of the episode, but me and my good friends Peter and David, none of us had seen this movie. We watched it together, and this is the way to watch this sort of movie. Just kind of like laughing along, shit talking at the screen. If you can watch this with a group, I would highly recommend it. Having seen The Thing, if you could see it in a theater, this must be such a fun movie to watch with a crowd. Just absolutely ridiculous moments. But on top of that, the movie starts with a genuinely nightmarish scene after hours at a high school that stands up with some of the best horror stuff. You know, I think it's genuinely frightening, and I'm intentionally not talking about what happens in this scene, but the movie does kind of jump the shark at some point, but starts very grounded and kind of gives us this, like I mentioned, it's this relatively underfunded high school where all the money goes to the football team. The movie's not about that, but it kind of gives us a really nice, solid foundation to start from. And our characters in the plot carry us through the rest of the way. I think this is a really fun movie. It's not a perfect movie by any stretch, but it's the type of movie that there are so many people that are going to go on to be famous that I didn't recognize Salma Hayek because she's such a secondary role. I'm like, this woman sounds so familiar. I know her voice. I know that face. Who is that? And they're just like, that's Salma Hayek. It's like, oh my God. Yes, of course. Of course it is. So just, it's kind of wild to see all these people who are going to blow up and become kind of mega stars compared to where they were in 1998. And I think because of that, while there are some standout performance moments, it's not the sort of movie where it's like, so-and-so just gives a masterclass acting performance. I don't think it's that sort of movie, but all the characters are working so well that I love it. And characters do have fun turns that we can talk about.
Here's what I'd say. I'd say Robert Patrick is giving the best performance out of everybody.
One of my standout moments, yes.
Yeah, definitely he's outclassing everybody in this movie. I would say
he knows
everybody-
exactly what movie he's in.
Yeah,
And
I would say
he also
everybody's
starts
acting-
in. He kind of bookends the movie as well without giving anything away. But the movie starts with him just shouting offensive obscenities at the football team, and it's hysterical. Just like obviously dated in some ways, but immediately we know that guy.
Yeah, no, I think that everybody's performance as far as where their careers would go and the highs that these characters have had, or these actors have had, I would describe most everybody's performance as mid.
Yes.
But melodramatic and working with the tone of the movie.
Exactly.
It is of one piece. Yeah, I hadn't seen this movie in forever, and I must have I've definitely recommended it to people before if they hadn't seen it, because it, again, for the actors alone, and it's just such a weird, unique little timepiece. I watched this with my fiance. She loves this movie too, so we both had a good time. You're right, Brian. Just watching with a group of people or another person, we were having so much fun. Because this movie is kind of, it's obviously was made by Kevin Williamson, who also created Dawson's Creek too. So when it comes to like high school melodrama, and then playing with the genre of horror and sci-fi horror, and then having Robert Rodriguez and his sensibilities, and then having all these mess of actors. It is just one of those like unique cocktails in a movie that you feel like you don't get enough of lately, like a low budget, sort of not super serious genre film that is winking and nodding at the camera throughout the entire thing, while still being like suspenseful and having some like really cool concepts and really cool scenes. I just remember really liking it as a kid because there's one scene in particular that's very famous because there's like a drug that's introduced. And then it's revealed that this is integral to like kind of the plot of the movie. And there's a scene where this all kind of comes to a head. And that's like in one of my top scenes of all time, because it's so wacky and ridiculous. And so fun.
We'll talk about it in spoilers, but it's when the function of it is revealed for the first time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a scene in The Thing that is, having just rewatched The Thing, they very much pull like kind of the movie gets there and does a lot of similar things in terms of who can you trust? We need to form a test to try and figure it out.
Yeah. No, I love it. It's very tropey, but it's great. And here's the thing. I haven't seen The Thing all the way through, and certainly didn't see any of The Thing.
Oh, wow.
When I saw this movie. It's got Jon Stewart in it, not doing something that you'd expect Jon Stewart to do. So that's very fun. He has not been in a ton of movies, so it's kind of a treasure to see him actually acting in one. And Usher's in this for like no reason other than I think they're like this young like R&B singers in it. I don't know. He doesn't really have an important role, but it's crazy. Elijah Wood's real goofy and has some of the like funniest lines that are played so serious, and it's very goofy. Anyway, it's a joy. I think the effects, especially for the time, for this budget and for the time, I still think they're pretty good. Like they rival.
I think so too.
They rival kind of stuff you'd see on low budget TV that has CGI now. I don't think it looks any worse than the worst CGI. Certainly, like I would say there's nothing in this that is worse than She-Hulk. And there's some like good looking stuff in She-Hulk. She-Hulk has some highs that are really good. I don't want to shit all over people that made that show, but
it's got a character in full lighting all the time that they have. That's just difficult to deal with. But yeah, it's like She-Hulk doesn't use practical effects nearly to the effect that this movie does. There's a scene in a pool where it's just
it's very cool.
You've set things up before, and it's the perfect way to give weight to this thing. I don't want to say too much, but you know what I'm talking about. It's masterful.
And it's using effects that aren't even like CG. There's like a insanely cool shadow effect that
it's another of my favorite moments. Incredible. I'll never forget that visual.
Yeah,
amazing.
It's so cool. Yeah, very. What's the word I'm thinking of? Species. This is along the same concept. Like, especially gets into like Species territory, and I can't tell if it's I haven't seen any of the Species movies in a long time. I remember really liked them, but also
I've never seen them actually.
There's like a half naked lady in Species like at all times, so that also might play into like why I liked it as a young man quite a bit. Maybe we'll have to revisit those, see if they hold up. But definitely that was that was the kind of sci-fi horror stuff that I was into.
So this one, okay, you loved it as a kid. You feel like it holds up. Coming to it Okay.
In a different way. I still think it's
Okay.
super entertaining, and I still think a lot of the stuff that was working for me, I think I took it much more seriously as a kid. I forgot it was this goofy, but it's still a lot
Okay.
still having a lot of fun. But definitely as a young teen, it kind of just came across as all like, cool, like none of the, like Josh Hartnett's character is a cartoon character. Like the character of Zeke is a goofy cliche of a 90s bad boy.
Yep.
And it's so ridiculously campy and goofy. But when I was younger, I was like, Zeke's cool, you know?
He's the cool guy. Yeah.
And so none of that stuff kind of worked. So I'd say like it was much funnier than I remember and much more like laugh out loud, enjoyable. And I remember actually being more spooked out throughout. But I think that's just how it goes sometimes with these movies. And so I think it works on different levels. But man, I don't regret recommending it or watching it. It was a real treat to revisit. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely happy to have seen it as well. It worked out perfectly.
Absolutely. Anything before we get into spoilers?
I think that's it. If you haven't seen this movie, which I don't know, it's critically kind of like, I think 57% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I kind of get in terms of like, especially coming off of Scream and Scream 2. And I Know What You Did Last Summer, kind of like these smash hits. I could see how it's a little different. It's more of a monster movie maybe than what people are expecting from him from some of the other stuff, but this one is so much fun, and I don't think you're going to regret having watched it if you turn it on. And it's on HBO Max right now. So
I don't think it's as good of a mashup and a genre critique as Scream is. I really can say that, you know, it's definitely not on that level, that caliber. But I definitely say like, this is very much where you see James Gunn gets a lot of influence. Like this is very Slither-esque. It's very much along that line, more of like a sci-fi monster romp. You know, that's
in that kind of like almost not Sam Raimi necessarily, but coming from
similar
that same
though. No,
that same
very
vein.
similar. I mean, just to speak on like the set design, like the high school looks like it's from the derelict 70s. You know, there's a lot of concepts that I'm like, that's not how 90s high schools look, but it's kind of plays into the vibe of the movie where it's like the super underfunded school, right? But it's so gross. It's such a gross campus that they're on. Like it's real dingy, and it's got this like really dirty quality to it that feels otherworldly almost. So it feels very much it's very exaggerated in that way, just like our characters. So it makes sense. I mean, they do like the drug in this movie is in like a Bic pen. It looks like cocaine filled Bic pen that you snap off the cap to. And
It's clever. It was clever.
Hyde's in this movie.
I know, yeah. Hyde from that 70s show, yeah. Danny Masterson.
Yeah. So it's just it's very much of its own vibe.
I think he literally plays Fuck Up 1 is the name in the he's either Fuck Up 1 or Fuck Up 2, which is how they're named in the script.
That's perfect. It's perfect. All right, let's jump into spoilers for The Faculty. It's streaming on HBO Max. So if you've got the HBOs, it's there right now. For how long? I don't know. But it's there right now. So check it out. But let's get into spoilers, Brian. All right, so before we get into favorite moments, you know, something that I don't think worked as well for me, maybe it's just because of how long it had been since I'd seen it, but I want to ask you as a first-time viewer, how did the Marybeth twist work for you, that she ended up being the Queen Alien all along?
I thought it was decently well done. The reveal and how it functionally happens is kind of silly, but because they've built up the pen thing and how there are the two sides that you could potentially open on the pen, I guess, you know, they had done a little bit of work there. I like how initially you kind of is like, oh, she's the new kid, kind of the easy first person to think, but it lulls you into a sense. We get the test. And I think it did a good job of kind of throwing us off, even though who they ultimately at some point think is the queen we already know isn't, because we saw her get turned, right? So we do know there is still a mystery there, but I think they did a pretty good job of throwing us off her trail. Did you just immediately see it coming?
Well, because I had seen it before, I think it's the thing that works the least in the script, and probably the thing that like hurts the movie from being smarter than it can be at times. Just because it feels so tropey. It also like, because I remembered it almost instantly. I was like, oh yeah, this, like, we were 10 minutes in the movie. I was like, oh yeah, this chick's the big bad person. So the whole time you're watching it, and if you watch it with that lens, it kind of makes sense, because she kind of weeds out the biggest threat to her. You know, the people the outsiders that aren't going to, there's
fall
kind of a
in
concept like fall in line, right? So maybe that's her strategy, so it works there. But it also doesn't work in terms of like when she could have like attacked them. There was much better opportunity, so she's pretty stupid. So that part feels a little goofy. It doesn't pay off
thematically. Like you said, it's like it starts off where it could be the story about a corrupt school member who's kind of selling out the school monetarily, ultimately becoming this kind of parasite who's taking over. And there could have been something there that just they decided not to go with, you know? I kind of agree that, that's probably the weaker part.
It doesn't really fit with any kind of metaphor for the whole story, because it's like, just don't trust
the outsider.
Hicks that show up out of nowhere. They got issues. They're running from something, all right?
She's got a southern accent. That is questionable.
I'm like Marybeth, and I'm just an innocent little southern. I'd say that's probably overall one of the weaker parts. Definitely was just really distracting for me watching it, because I was like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, but otherwise, the way she just becomes a complete bad guy at the end, like, it's so great though. She starts, you could be one mood so quiet. I like that there's this element brought up as the movie goes on of like, it's so much better if you just accept it, that stuff's the real creepy stuff to me.
See, that's what it gets, because there's a period where it's not as creepy, and then it takes that turn when the football player gets turned ultimately. And he just really sells it. I love that it gets you back to being
right after they had that like romantic moment too.
Oh, I know.
Heartbreaking. All right,
and
Brian.
Clea DuVall, gotta say, she plays a very similar character in But I'm a Cheerleader. But her playing this character in the 90s is like, I don't think anyone could do it better than that. It's like very, what did Peter bring up? Like very Breakfast Club in a lot of ways. Williamson scripts, but definitely working well.
When I first saw her in the movie, I was like, do we see her and Josh Hartnett in the same frame? Because I was almost like,
oh, you thought they were the same person.
I mean, there was part of me for a split second that was like, they look really similar. Well, they both have very pronounced jaws. They just look.
I'm gonna have to look again now. That's hilarious.
I was like, either Josh Hartnett's wearing drag, or she's dressing the part of a man, and I was like, what if they did something with that? That would be cool. But alas, they're two separate characters and really don't have a relationship outside of them both being like the bad girl and the bad boy of the group. Like, we don't give a shit about nothing. God, Zeke's character, man, and Josh Hartnett's performance. It's time. I mean, it's amazing. It's incredible.
Is it implied that he kind of failed school just to sleep with his teacher? Because ultimately, like, are they just a couple now at the end of the movie? I was just like, is this the choice we're making? Okay. It's kind of weird.
Life's a little bit more complicated than that, and I kind of want to fuck the missus.
They do the classic. He's already into her beforehand, but Famke Janssen, they put glasses on her and give her not the best haircut and pretend that she's not gorgeous.
She's so nervous, and she's so nervous.
Oh,
and
she's so timid, and like,
And then,
this is the classic.
This is my question about like the alien hive mind of like how it changes people. Like, it doesn't seem super consistent.
Not at all. No.
Because like the coach becomes like,
what
nicer?
Kind of human being would I be if I did that?
So the coach,
one of my favorite line deliveries in the whole movie.
What are the turns can we find a through line? Like, let's think about the turns each character takes. The coach actually becomes kind of nicer Like, obviously, he's a psychopath. He, like, attacks people. But there's, like, he's a little more gentle and not as forward. He's definitely, like, creepier, but he's not, like, yelling.
More subtly manipulative than outwardly, like, raging.
It makes the teacher really, like, sexual and, like, wants to fuck Josh Hartnett.
Yes. Yep. Apparently.
Like, I don't know. It makes
gave her better style as well. Fixed the vision. Got her contacts.
Fixed the vision. It turned Jon Stewart into like a psychopath who didn't seem to like know what the protocol was.
That was a good moment when he turns and pulls the thing down, and everyone is forced, even the people who are like, this is bullshit, are forced to acknowledge it. It's a good moment.
It's Josh Hartnett's like most badass moment too, when he rips the like the thing that cuts paper off and slices his fingers off.
Oh, badass!
That's Zeke earned some street cred there. That was pretty
for sure.
Move. All right, so I don't think there's I think another weakness of the film is that there's no solid through line for like what the alien does to people. Like that does seem like in a better movie we would be exploring the personality traits that this alien brings out. And it seems like it does whatever the writer needs it to do for the plot.
Moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, like like Jon Stewart doesn't know that that's the queen bee. And it's like, I don't understand. It's all a little.
Yeah, you would think they would know, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but who knows? Anyway, what are some of your favorite moments, Brian?
So the moment that I referenced with the coach is definitely one of them. When he's turned and he literally says, what kind of human being would I be? It's just like on the page and perfectly delivered. When Casey gets in trouble at school, the father is a total dick, by the way. The parents just handling it horribly. And the mom just kicking him while he's down. It's like, get his porn under the bed. The fact that his mom knows where the porn's at and they call him out for it. It's just such a great touch. It's like, that's such a mom move. Like...
And Chris McDonald during that entire scene where he's like, sorry, gotta take away.
Yeah. He's looking at it later. He still has it in his hand when he like walks outside. The father does. It's good. It's another good little visual.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Visual gap there. Yeah. Okay. I can't remember exactly how it's happening. I think it's before they do the test, but everyone, there's like 3 or 4 people who like call someone out, like, oh, it could be you saying this thing. And Delilah says, Casey, when did you become Sigourney Weaver? And it just makes no sense, and it's out of nowhere. And you realize later that it's like she's
actually it's
the alien, right? So it's just like pulling, because she's been converted at that point, right?
Right, and he's the last girl. He like, that's kind of a reference to him being the last person alive.
God, I'm an idiot. Okay, so it was even better than I thought. I just took it as like her kind of like, it doesn't make any sense actually, but it actually makes perfect sense. Okay.
No, I can't remember what he says before that, but
I didn't even think he had said anything. That's why it felt like very out of left field. But
I think he said, oh, hold on, I have the description for me. He says, I'm Ripley. I'm on a space mining convoy. And I think there's an alien in our midst.
I think that was it. But yeah, that line delivery in the moment, that was probably the biggest laugh out loud moment for me. Just was not expecting it. Yeah, you brought up already one that was a favorite moment, that the reveal when it's revealed that Marybeth. When Marybeth is revealed to be the queen and she's walking through the locker room with all of the appendages in shadows around her. Just absolutely magnificent stuff that just sticks with you. So effective.
Doesn't make any sense practically.
No, but makes no sense. The monsters
cool.
don't functionally really look like that, but it's an amazing visual. And this, it's not a perfect movie, like we said. I have one more final moment that's kind of one of the big climactic moments, but I want to hand it off to you.
Oh, you're going to hand it off. I thought you were about to say
For now, yeah, because I feel like I've said too much.
While we're going to quotes, this one had me confused, which is They're talking about it's when Casey and Stokely are Elijah Wood and the other young lady that looks like Josh Hartnett's character are talking about Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It's very like, let's reference the genre that's occurring. And Stokely goes, Body Snatchers is a story someone made up, dingus. It's located in the fiction section of the library. And Casey says, yeah, so is Schindler's List.
Yes. Oh my God. It was a joke that I'm like, I don't know if I should be laughing at this, but it's hilarious. It is undeniably quite possibly the silliest way to respond to that.
Yeah, well, it also made me go, is it? Is Schindler's? It's also, yeah. I guess it's
probably historical fiction, right?
Historical fiction, yeah, which is different than fiction. Like anyway, you slice it. It's not next. Invasion of the Body Snatchers is not a double feature with Schindler's List. Okay. Josh Hartnett talking to a goofy, not super confident version of our hot teacher.
Offering her all sorts of goodies.
Yeah. What's the actresses and characters?
Famke Janssen.
Okay. Famke Janssen. It's like she kind of looks like Gardner. What's her name? Jennifer Gardner. Is that what I'm thinking of? It's got a very, very similar face. Anyway, so she's that's why I was getting confused. I was like, it's not Jennifer Gardner. But she's like nervously talking to him, and then he pulls out the condoms, and he's like, I got condoms. I'm like,
I think he says magnum sized and they're edible. It's just like, what are you trying to sell her here?
And I thought of the line from It's Always Sunny. Sorry, I dropped my gigantic condoms for my magnum-sized dong.
Wad of cash in my giant dong condoms. Yeah, ridiculous.
He says it's chocolate flavored.
See,
and he first offers her laxatives? Is he like alluding to like is he
like
saying
she's got to stick up her ass or something? Yeah, I think so.
Okay, stick up her ass. All right,
something like that. Yeah,
right, I see, Zeke. And then it's also revealed. All my favorite moments involve Josh Hartnett's character because I'm just like so enthralled by the one where they're.
What about his lab? Okay, yes, thank you.
Such a classic, like lots of test tubes. And then like there's an offhanded thing where she goes, is it just caffeine pills you're smashing up? He goes, yeah, and some other household stuff.
He's just selling caffeine to people.
But the best scene is and I think what this movie's known for is we gotta like make sure we're not all aliens, so we're all gonna snort this shit. And then the like drug out acting you get from Elijah Wood.
Yes.
And that one football player who stopped playing football. His name is
Shawn Hatosy.
Shawn Hatosy's character, like all like giggling and laughing hysterically. It's so weird and it's totally very strange because there's a lot of tension of like, oh, he's gonna be the alien, while this ludicrous like horrible like I'm high acting is occurring, like just over the top Elijah Wood giggling, and then there's a gun pulled out at him. And then he takes
so fast.
He takes the gun back. He's like, now I'm pointing the gun at you. He's just like okay with it. Like, okay, yeah, this is how it works. I take the drug. You point the gun at me. I give you the drug. I put the gun back at you. It's goofy and ludicrous all at the same time. And then just the out of nowhere reveal that Delilah is an alien, which I didn't see that coming, even though I've seen the movie. I forgot that. Because I remember she made it towards to the end, but I forgot that she just drives away very unceremoniously, just like takes off. But I did remember that like Queen Bee Coke fingers the vial open. So
you did remember how she did it too. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I'll never forget little Coke finger. Slip of the finger. But she acted really well. And she giggles actually as she walks out.
She's playing along with them, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. She's like, I see what you're doing, Elijah Wood. I can giggle like an idiot too. Brian, what was your climactic scene you wanted to?
I had referenced the scene in the pool, and I think that's just incredibly done. The way it builds from kind of this, oh, we've discovered a new creature, it can multiply, it can get huge out of nowhere. And the way that they show the scale of it in the pool with just some sort of like giant thing that they're pulling, presumably, it's just ridiculously effective.
The shadow as she's swimming out of the pool, there's like this black shadow that,
and it like morphs back into her. So well done, and probably digital too. And that was like a effect that definitely held up. Ultimately, though, anyone who has seen bleachers in a gym, this sort of trapping a monster under here, this is like a fever dream that is so perfect that I wouldn't necessarily have thought of. But to trap this creature there and to get some of the most impressive practical effects once we see the giant head of it at the end, it's just wild. Like, I was kind of blown away by it.
Pulling the Zeke selling line of guaranteed to jack you up.
Funny, so funny. Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, yeah, I'm at that point, you know, the movie knows exactly what it is, and I just appreciated it. I was on for the ride.
Oh my God. It's so goofy how Elijah Wood gets Delilah at the end, and he's just like acting super cool, and she's like, the news stations are here, and he goes, network or local? He goes, both. And he puts his arm around her, and he's like, yeah. Well, and how would you be if you just killed a monster? And you were right. Like, dude was right.
You probably feel like a badass. Yeah.
Even though you're like 5'3" and you're goofy, and you haven't even been in Lord of the Rings yet. So
I was gonna say, yeah, you haven't even gotten the one true ring, but obviously,
that's where he got his swagger.
Walking the right path.
That's how Frodo got his swagger before Frodo existed. Very awesome stuff. Yeah, overall, just super fun movie. This is a super fun ride. It was super laugh out loud funny like throughout. It's a treasure. I think when America inevitably dies, The Faculty will be all that's standing and remembered. Brian, any final thoughts on The Faculty?
I had a bunch of fun with this. You know, if you like monster movies, if you're in for obviously things like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, The Thing, I think you're going to find plenty to enjoy in this movie. Kevin Williamson, he had a pretty ridiculous run in the 90s, so if you're not familiar with his other work, definitely go check that out as well. Obviously, Robert Rodriguez, same. But yeah, I had so much fun with this, and thank you again for recommending this, and yeah, hoping me get to number, what was this, number 10 for the month or something for horror movies that I hadn't seen.
Well, let me try to recommend another one, and maybe we can get Chris on board. Eight-Legged Freaks. Have you ever seen that?
Oh, yeah. That one I had watched with you, for sure. Yeah.
Classic.
I haven't seen it in a long time, though. The other one that you had recommended that stored in the noggin here, The Cell. Have not seen The Cell.
The Cell is legitimately good, and it's not like, this one's fun and a high school romp and stuff. There's definitely no scene in which like an army of like parasite infested football players chase you through a field of buses. Oh, we didn't even talk about decapitated Famke Johnson, which is a classically good scene. And Josh Hartnett.
The football players is freaky too.
Fuck this.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it is. Oh, the scene in the rain when like he meets the coach out in the rain. When Scotty, I think character's name is, maybe I'm getting this wrong, where he goes out and he sees the coach and all the football players like in the rain with all the tentacles coming out of their face, and they're like drinking in the water.
That looked really good too, actually. Yeah,
yeah,
so
it's
creepy.
And it's dark.
He's just like, "Are you guys good?" He's like, "Oh shit."
And he wasn't like, he didn't think there was something weird by watching them. They're all like watching all these football players staring up at the rain. They're like, "Do you think it worked?"
We got it right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they normally do after a big game. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I think it's a great thing to revisit. So everybody should check it out. It's on HBO Max now. Faculty, there is no 4K release of it. It's just the Blu-ray. There's a couple collector's editions Blu-ray, but
well,
I looked.
As you know, being the #1 movie podcast online, after this episode, might get that 4K re-release.
Might get that 4K bump. That bump that happens.
Pop-O-Holics bump.
Shit, we gotta watch The Cell. I'm pretty sure that has to have 4K because that's a cult classic. Vince Vaughn J-Lo movie. It's the best J-Lo movie. Made in Manhattan. Okay. You could suck my dick.
Wow, there it is.
Man, it's not time for, or what's the other one she did that everybody loves? The one about that Latina singer.
Selena.
Selena. Yeah, no.
Movie.
So kicks
Scarred
ass.
me as a child. Have never come back to it.
Yeah, it's pretty dramatic. All right, Brian, where can people find more of your work on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at True Pop-O-Holic.
You can find me at Christian Katie or my band. Oh, that's what I'm repping today is at Midnight Satire. I make music. It's on Apple Music, Spotify. Let me know what you think of it. Some music videos out there. It's a lot of fun. You can find more of this podcast by following the link tree. That's available in the show notes or the podcast description or the video description. Like us all around and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter. We got one of those. Chris will be back next week with what? We don't know. We're kind of flying by the seat of our pants. Chris might have been infested. He might have had an ear. I believe I saw him go into the principal's office and got the ear inspection. So he might be one of them now. Might be one of them now. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But we miss you, bud. Can't wait to get your ass back on the show. All right, Brian, that's going to do it for this week. We're going to close out with Christian's TikTok of the week.
It's me, Mario. Let's go save the Princess Peach.
Thank you, John. That was stellar,
Thanks,
man.
guys.
That was great. He sounded just like him. That's going to be hard to beat, man. All right, next we have Chris Pratt. Morning, Chris.
Hey, everybody.
Just whenever you're ready.
It's me. It's me, Mario. Hey, it's me, Mario. Stop fooling around, everybody. The princess is in trouble. Don't you know there's a princess to save, everybody? Bowser, you're never gonna prosper as long as Christ is around. Princess Peaches, let's go get out of here.
Yes.
Bowser's like a dinosaur. Easy, boy.
Yes. Yes.
It's me, Mario, today.
I feel like I'm in a Nintendo right now. Are you fucking kidding me? This is fucking insane.
I feel like I'm in a Nintendo. So good.
That's a
It's a wrap.
voice.